This is the final season of The Flash, and while that is very sad, it does mean we get some really cool things happening. And one of them was this guy joining the show as Captain Boomerang. And boy, was I so excited to hear Richard Harmon was going to be a part of this thing. Richard, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic today. Thank you for having me.
So, I mean, I guess it's this kind of a welcome back to the DC universe for you because actually you had a small part in an episode of Smallville in season 8. Did you ever think you'd be back?
Gaunt teenage addict, as I recall.
That's exactly what
I
it was.
was, I was probably 17 years old. I was hoping I'd be back. I didn't know it would be, oh God, 14 years later when I was 31. But I'm glad that it came back in the incarceration that it did with Captain Boomerang, which I had just so much fun playing.
Were you a DC guy growing up a little bit?
I was never much of a comic book guy, if I'm gonna be honest. I had so many friends that were. I played a lot of Warhammer. That was my thing.
Well, hey, that was your gateway then. Okay.
That was my yeah. So I was doing Lord of the Rings Warhammer.
So when you get the role, does is this one of the things where we kind of do a deep dive to get into the character, or do you kind of go in and be like, I want to try and do something different with this?
I definitely wanted to do something different. Because I didn't know. Here's kind of how it went down. I was unaware when I auditioned for the role that it was Captain Boomerang. I had no idea. Um, so when I booked it, I was under the impression that I was playing someone by the name of Razor, which was what the audition sides had
Of
said.
course, that's what it would be in the notes. Okay.
Yes. So, and that was, I just had a ton of fun with that audition. And so when I booked it and it was Captain Boomerang, I was like, oh God, do I change things? And I kind of reached out to them and sort of inquired if there was anything different I needed to do, considering that it was Captain Boomerang. And their response to that was that they want me to do exactly what I did in the audition, playing whoever I thought Razor was. So that's kind of how that went down. And I was glad about that. And went like, yeah, I kind of know that he's been played before in different versions of him. And they gave me a lot of comfort because there's a bit of a fear in that of misrepresenting a character that obviously people know so well. And they made me feel very comfortable with taking the risks and sort of just playing him a little bit different and just having fun with him, which was really, really, as an actor, I mean, that's really all you can ever want out of your bosses on a show. And they really gave me the freedom to kind of go and do what I wanted with it, which was tons of fun.
And you absolutely did that too, man, to very well so far from what we've seen. So we know
Thanks.
who Captain Boomerang is. We know who Razor is. Who's Owen Mercer?
Owen Mercer, I mean, that's the other thing, is trying to figure out who kind of this version of Owen Mercer is. And the way he was described to me was, I think originally, I think they might have wanted someone just a little bit bigger. It was kind of what they had told me, but then when they saw me, they decided to go a different way with it. So we kind of played him like he was just this guy that had just gotten the crap kicked out of him in prison for years, and he was just the lowest level of the totem pole, and now he's been funded by this much more wealthy sort of backer than he is, and he's finally got the technology to be the big bad guy on the block, and he just relishes the opportunity to not only get his ass kicked anymore, actually do some ass kicking. And that's sort of how we played Owen in this sort of version of him.
I think we could talk about it now because it's been out there for a little bit. I think we could talk about Red Death a little bit. How much can we tease
Yes.
about that relationship other than is it just a mercenary thing, or are we going to find out maybe there's a little bit more going on there?
I think for the most part, it is just a mercenary thing that the Red Death is using Owen and some of these other rogues to do her bidding, to do their bidding. Yeah.
So we actually got a look at that Red Death suit for the first time in episode
Yes.
2. How incredible was it to see that thing for the first time in person? Because on screen, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, in person, all I could think about was like, man, that must be uncomfortable. Like, can you see out of that? I don't think that they could very well.
You
So it's
just kind of strut onto the
a lot of
set
like,
in your
remember
outfit, be like, look what I get to wear.
angling them certain directions. I'm like, okay, and then Owen's over here. You can't see him, but he's over this way, and me being like, hi.
I swear I would strut in my Captain Boomerang get up and be like, oh, I'm so comfortable.
Yes, and like that's the thing, is that the Captain Boomerang getup is so comfortable. It's just like it's a tailor-made jacket and like it was a little chilly, and like luckily I have a scarf.
I want to thank you guys for making that cosplay possibility so much easier in the future.
For everybody. If the day comes where I get to see somebody come in as Captain Boomerang when I'm at a convention or something, that'll make me very happy. And I was really glad to see that they were doing something that was so accurate to the comics of what Captain Boomerang wore, which was super cool to me to actually be able to play him and kind of look like him in a way, which was very cool.
Is that the cool thing for you that you talk about going to cons and things like that? When you get a role like this, is it a little bit cooler than some other things because you're like, okay, once you're Captain Boomerang, you're Captain Boomerang for life in the eyes of certain fans. How cool is that?
It's insanely cool, and it's also it was a little bit stressful at the same token.
Of course.
I know that you and I have discussed a previous show of mine when I was on the 100 and was doing that, and like that, John Murphy wasn't even in the books of the 100, so that character was so fully me, and like there was no one could ever get mad at me making John Murphy however I wanted to make him, because there is no John Murphy until there was Richard Harmon playing John Murphy. So that was a lot more open. So then when you're playing someone like Captain Boomerang, that people have thoughts in their head about the way that he should be and the way that he should be portrayed, which I completely understand. And I can completely understand if like my version of him is not for everybody. Like I could completely understand that, but I'm really grateful for the openness that seemingly that the fans of the Flash have brought to me, and like a lot of them really were very complimentary of it. But I also understand the other way of that too, and it was just nice to get the chance to play.
No doubt about that. Really quickly, I want to take a little bit of a side note on that because the 100 fans, that is a very loyal and still very active fan base. And if you look at the comments on this guy's social media, all these 100 fans saying, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to be on the Flash. Now I'm going to have to start watching the Flash." How cool is that for you that they're still hanging on and they're coming to the Flash because they see that you're attached to this project? I mean, that's got to be amazing for you.
I'm incredibly grateful for it. Like I wouldn't have the apartment that I live. I wouldn't have the life that I have without the 100. So it's something that I'm still to this day, and to the fans, incredibly grateful for, that they're still sticking around.
Talking to Richard Harmon, who plays Captain Boomerang on The Flash, which you can watch every Wednesday night on the CW. Richard, now that the Fiddler's in the mix, it looks like we're going to get kind of a bit of a rogue squad going on here. So this is something that Flash fans have been waiting for a while on the show, myself included. So how much fun was it to kind of be a part of a team of villains and be the first one to kind of kick that off this season?
It was to be the first one. That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Like to be the first one was a very cool thing. That like the first episode of the season, that was before you even know Red Death is a thing. It's like Captain Boomerang's the first one that you see as the first obstacle that you think like, oh, maybe he's just going to be someone that the Flash just knocks down and moving on to the next villain. But to stick around, kind of get the better of Flash, and just, I wouldn't say get the better of him, but like kind of end in a stalemate between the two.
Kind of did though, a little bit.
I got the better of him at least twice. So
yeah.
Timelines, like the repetition.
Sorry, Grant.
Yeah. So I think that's very cool to be the first one and to be part of the group. Like I said, because me not being a massive comic book guy growing up, for the showrunners and the writers and everything to kind of like made it very clear to us how important this is and this group is, and what that forces, without any spoilers, what the Flash has to do to kind of combat the numbers game of us versus him.
Absolutely. So this is the final season for a cast that's been doing this for quite a few years now. What was it like working with all of them, and how was it to kind of walk in? You're the new kid on the block in the final season of a very much beloved show that people have been working on for a long time.
Yes. I mean, it was so welcoming. I'll say that. Like for my first day was all with Grant and doing the battle between him and me 3 different ways. And that was my first day. It was just an all-day affair. And Grant was so welcoming and so awesome. Like, there's a reason why a show can go 9 seasons and not many can. And you have to have a great leader for a cast. And he embodies what it is to be a good number one. He really does. I can't say enough good things about him.
Oh, I can absolutely agree with that, too. As a matter of fact, speaking of this cast, I've been around them enough to know they're a fun bunch. They're a very musical bunch, too, by the way. So do you have any fun stories from when the cameras weren't rolling that you can kind of share with us a little bit?
Oh boy. I mean, I was so focused on just trying to not mess up Captain Boomerang. But there were so many fun moments. I think some of the most fun moments was just Grant and I sitting there with like him with the just eating like pasta with the flash suit fully on, like in the hell, like the mask and everything, and just eating pasta on the side of the road in the middle of Vancouver. Those were sort of surreal, comical moments for me. And then I have a few photos that crew members took of the two of us that I think are pretty funny. And I think maybe when the whole thing's wrapped up, I can maybe post some of those for people to see behind the scenes a little bit.
Nice. Got a little something to look forward to. I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder though, because I can imagine that at some point Grant's going to drop something on that suit while he's eating. What's the protocol when you're in the Flash suit? The bow tie pasta falls on the Flash logo. Is it a fire drill? Is there bad things? Have you seen something like this happen?
That's why they only serve the red sauce. That's it. It's tomato based. Everything lunch, tomato based, everything red. That's all it is. That's all we eat on the Flash.
Just a different shade, just in case.
Yeah,
Well, then you're wearing your blue trench coat, and then you're in trouble.
True, but that trench coat is easy to. I'm a professional, I'm not.
Of course you are. Of course.
But so is Grant. I never saw the man drop anything on his suit.
How cool was that look for you? You talked about it being a practical look close to the comics. How cool was that look for you for the Captain Boomerang suit? Because it was very comics accurate, and the boomerangs themselves, where it was that cool to just you just kind of open up the trench coat and you're like, hey, what's up?
Jingle jangle. I mean, like we had to do quite a bit of ADR to fix, because sometimes the boomerangs would just clang, or we would just be in the middle of a take and a boomerang would just fall out onto the floor, and I'd be like,
Of course.
A boomerang down. We just need to take it back to the top on this. That happened a lot. Was that boomerangs would just start falling out, because I had like 25 on me at any given time, and they're secure, but they're not that secure. So they would just start falling and like ding, 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 just falling all over the ground. If I'm like doing a fight scene and I'm punching, and then it's just boomerangs all over the ground.
You kind of can't drop those.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't have that.
I know that you said that you were nervous, and there's so much great writing that happens on the show and always has been. Did you
They're
get a
so
chance?
lovely to the writers.
Oh, I'm absolutely. I'm sure they are. So yeah, I know that Captain Boomerang. He's known for his zingers. Did you kind of get to throw in a couple of ad libs there as well, or did you kind
I
of?
did.
Were you too nervous to? Oh, you did. Okay.
I did throw in quite a few ad libs, and they were really, really welcoming to allow it. The one that I'm sad didn't make it in was in the first episode, when after him and his wife knocked me down, and I'm getting up from behind the car and kind of in pain, and I was going up to them and I was just looking at it, and I was like, power couple, nice. And I wanted to keep the power couple thing, and I was like, power couple, very cute.
I like that.
And I was like, damn it.
See, now everybody knows what could have been.
What
in
could
that
have
episode.
been. But
I
they
love that.
kept some other ones, which was really cool. I'm trying to recall which. That's the thing, is that they did such a good job writing that it became so evident to me what the ad libs would be. And that's on them, is making it so clear and evident what this character's like with those zingers.
Mm-hmm.
When I ad-libbed things, at this point, I don't even remember what was mine and what was theirs, because they did such a good job of making it clear what he would say,
Mm-hmm.
what type of person he is, which was really, really, that's when you're ad-libbing, that's incredibly helpful.
And you had to pick up on that though, and that's where the team aspect and the trust comes in, though, I can imagine.
That's what it's all about.
There you go. There you go. Before I let you go, Richard, I know that we've barely scratched the surface of what we're going to see this season on The Flash. How excited are you for fans to see what's coming? And would you love to revisit this character at some point?
I would absolutely love to revisit this character. He was so much fun for me. I want one day for people to see the audition tape actually for him, because that's a lot of fun. And that was too much ad-libbing. Yeah, that's like bring it back. But I mean, they got me the role, so that's good. I'm very excited for myself personally to see, because I don't even know everything of what happens on this season. And I'm curious myself to see where they're going and how they're going to wrap up this beautiful story they've been telling for 9 years. And I was just grateful to be a part of it for my little bit of time.
See, and if you don't even know where it's going, that means it's going to be really exciting, because I mean, that means they kept things really secretive.
Oh, they did
set too. So
they
yeah,
did.
you're not going to get any spoilers getting out on this season. We can tell you that, and especially not from us. Season 9 of The Flash airing every Wednesday on the CW. And I mean, I'm just having so much fun watching this guy. Can't wait to see more. Richard Harmon, thanks so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.